anoraks on because we're going for a nerdy deep dive today. Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah. Going down a slightly different route today because I thought I would talk about how I track my reading. So get your anoraks on because we're going for a nerdy deep dive today. I'm currently doing the Bookly Stay at Home Readathon. Bookly is an app that I use to track my reading, and the readathon has been running since the 13th of April, which was Monday. It's now Friday and the readathon ends on Sunday. And the aim is to read for 3.5 hours a day or 25 hours over the course of the readathon. I'm about 13 hours and 50 minutes in. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be on track to finish on Sunday, and it's really helped me put a bit more focus into my reading this week. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm seeing this as kind of a warm-up to another readathon that I will be doing next weekend, which is the Dewey's 24-hour readathon, which I've been doing for the past few years. It's really, until now, the only readathon that I've ever participated in, and I absolutely love it, and I'm quite excited that this time around I have a YouTube channel to share a bit of a reading vlog about that next week. If you want to know more about Dewey's 24-hour readathon, I will pop a link up the top of the video, but also in the description. It's a really friendly one. There's some really active boards on Goodreads, which I will also link, to do little games and sprints throughout the readathon, but that's next week. So back to how I track my reading, and what kind of got me thinking about talking about tracking my books is because the Bookly readathon is tied into the Bookly app, which is one of the main things that I use to track my reading. So I thought I would share it with you a bit, as well as other tools and ways that I track my reading. Let's get our screenshot on. This is Bookly, and as we go into it, you can see the last book that I was reading. You can see my current books and previous books as well. So these are just the more recent books that I've been reading on the app. And if I go into a book that I've finished, so the most recent one was Her Fearful Symmetry. Just go into that. You can see I've given it the star rating. You can see at the top there how many pages I read, how long it took me. So it took me about 10 hours to read the book. And then you get some other cool things like a little graph that shows you you can either have your reading time or the number of pages read. There's other things as well, but one of the coolest is once you finish the book, you get a little infographic. Gives you kind of your stats on how you progress through that book. And actually it was these infographics that interested me in the app in the first place, but I actually don't really use them very much. And then you can see all your reading sessions as well. You can see the different reading sessions I've had and how many pages I've got through, and also kind of compares you whether you read faster or slower in that particular reading session to your average. And then I'll go into a book that I am currently reading, just to show you it's slightly different. So it shows you how many pages into it I am, and how long I've been reading so far, but it also tells me how long it will take you to finish the book, which I find quite motivating. I like having that data. And then I'll show you what happens when you are reading. So this is what pops up, and you have a little timer. You've also got a few things that you can do in it. You can put on some sounds, which I don't ever use. You can add quotes and thoughts and things as you're reading. So I'll just stop that and delete that session. There's other things like goals. I haven't set myself any goals. And then you get all your stats, so you can see how much you've read or how long you've been reading for. So if you're reading multiple books, this will show you how long or how many pages you've been reading across all of them. And then it also shows your data for broken down by year. So you can see this year I have read for 185 hours this year. So you can do earn different achievements, which is quite cute. You can take quotes from your books. I don't tend to do it very often. There's only 3 in here. I'm just not a quote gatherer, but you can also add your thoughts and kind of have words you've defined and things as well. So that is Bookly. So I guess what I love about Bookly, it kind of helps blinker me in my reading. I can be really easily distracted, pretty much by anything. I'm very easily distracted, but there's something about having the timer on that kind of blinkers me to my book and keeps me focused. I pay for the pro version, but you can get it for free, but I think it's limited to only 10 books, and I think there are other limitations to its functionality. Like, I don't think you can set goals and things, but it's not too expensive anyway. Really all I'm paying for is just to be able to add more than 10 books, because I really do like to have a catalogue, and that brings me on to my next way of tracking. So I don't do any kind of analog tracking. I don't have a bullet journal. I have tried bullet journals, but I'm not very artistic. My handwriting is terrible, and I just find that actually like setting up and keeping it going is quite labour intensive, and I just don't have the time. I would love to be a bullet journaler, but I've tried to have one 3 times and none of them have ever really taken off. So, you know, I'm making my peace with the fact that bullet journaling is not for me. I am a spreadsheet girl, so it was only natural that I made my own reading tracking spreadsheet. Although having said that, this is a basic bitch spreadsheet. Like, it's not all singing, all dancing. I've seen some incredible reading spreadsheets, which I've always kind of meant to incorporate into my own one, but mine is very simple. I don't track genres, I don't track the sex of an author, I don't track the author's origin and things like that, although they are things that I am conscious of in my reading. And I did try and include them in my spreadsheet. It just got unmanageable. So I do a little bit of that with my Goodreads tracking, but I'll come on to that in a second. Let's go to the spreadsheet. So this is my reading spreadsheet. I've zoomed out just so you can see the whole thing, but obviously it's not entirely helpful because you can't read anything. So I'll zoom in and I will talk you through each of the columns. So we have the book number, the week of the year, the source, which I will talk about in a minute. Then we've got the book title and the author, the page number, according to Goodreads, so it's not always accurate. It depends what edition I've got. And then my 3 reading challenges for the year. So we've got Pop Sugar, we've got Around the Year, and we have the Reading Women Challenge. I like to read in the order of the Around the Year challenge because it's a 52 book challenge, which is effectively a book a week. So I usually stick to the order of that challenge to guide my reading, although you can see I did make a little mess up here where I missed a book and had to kind of shove it in when I noticed. So that is where the weeks kind of come in. I plan my reading at the start of the year. So I pick all the books for the challenge prompts that I need, and then I put them in the order of the Around the Year challenge, and then see if that is a realistic target for the year. So most weeks will have 1 book against it, but in order to get through all the books that I need to read for the challenges in the year, I will double up on some weeks where I can put kind of 2 short books together, or if like here, the 26th of February, the Yellow Wallpaper is really a short story, so it's tiny, so I could easily put that with a longer book as well. And that's just to make sure that I can fit it all into the year and that it's manageable, because once I start a challenge I like to finish it. And then, oh yeah, this source column, you can see there's kind of different letter codes in it, and that links down to this table at the bottom. I'll zoom in a little bit more. So I have an embarrassing amount of unread books in my house, and a few years ago I put myself on a bit of a book buying ban to try and make sure that I read every book I owned. And particularly for challenges, I will always shop my own bookshelves for the prompts before I go looking any further. And if I do need to look beyond them, I would try and get books out of the library, and basically anything I can do to avoid buying a book to fill a challenge prompt. And I started this a few years ago, and it's really helped to power through the unread books on my shelves. As you can see, like 76% of the books that I've picked for the challenges this year will come from the books that I owned prior to 2020. I do still buy books, certainly not in the number that I used to, and I try and avoid buying books unless I really, really want to read them, whereas before I used to just buy books if they sounded good. So that's what this little breakdown at the bottom is. That is my spreadsheet, but as I said, it only covers my reading challenge reads, and it's quite basic. So now I'll take you on to the main way that I track my reading. It's my favourite way, and I'm going to take you over to Goodreads. So Goodreads is really to blame for why I have become not just a reader but a complete book nerd, because I absolutely love all the things that you can do on Goodreads. I've been here for nearly 10 years now and I absolutely adore it. So I guess we'll start off on my profile page and things I love about it. So I've set myself a reading challenge for the year. I actually probably need to update this number. What have I said? I've said I want to read 61 books this year, so I need to update that, because for my challenges alone I need to read 63. But you can see I've read 21 books this year, which means I'm ahead of schedule, I'm on track. If you track your reading long enough, you generate some really good stats. So, and at the end of each year, so this is my 2019 reading infographic, you can see it all kind of laid out. So I read 76 books last year. It tells you what your shortest book and your longest book was, the book you read that's most popular on Goodreads or the least popular, what your average rating was, the book that's got the highest rating that you read, and then it just shows you every book that you read in the year. And I absolutely love these kind of memory prompters, really, because sometimes I forget what I've read. And last year was a really good reading year. I read some really, really good books last year. So that's quite nice to see at the end of a year. But how I use it to track my reading is the bookshelves. So as you can see down this side, I have a lot of bookshelves. So the ones up here are, apart from obviously the red shelf, are books that I have yet to read, and I've kind of tried to split this up a little bit. We'll ignore the currently reading shelf because I don't tend to use that. There's some books here that I've been festering on here for a long time. Screenburn I read, I hadn't finished it, but I was pregnant with my middle son and he is 7.5 now, so you can tell how little attention I pay to this shelf. We'll start with my want to read shelf. So every time I hear a recommendation for a book on a podcast, or I see someone talking about a book that I want to read on BookTube, I will add it to this shelf. So if I just, you can see the more recent books that I've added. And then every now and again I will go through the ones I've added most recently and just check the different libraries that I'm a member of to see if they have them in their catalogues, and if they do, I will move it from want to read to my library TBR pile. So as you can see, it's humongous. The other TBRs I have one for Audible. I don't tend to use Audible very much anymore. I've only got 2 books left on Audible. The books that I've got on my Kindle, I know this needs updated. There are more than 69 unread books on my Kindle at the moment. And the unread books on my shelves at home. So this is 130. I've got it down from, I think it was like over 300. So I've been making really good progress with that, although there are books that need to be added to this particular shelf. And then just these ones are ones I started but I don't really use at all. So after I've read a book, this is where it gets, at least for me, interesting, because I will put it onto my different shelves. So I have shelves for the reading challenges. This Reading Women, I started one this year. I didn't do one for it last year. All the years that I've done the Pop Sugar Challenge, and around the year. I will also shelve it according to the source. So if it was Audible, what else have we got? We've got if it came from the library, if it was on my Kindle, or if I own it. And then I will do some other kind of descriptive shelving. So, you know, where the book was set, what the book was about. Was it about family and motherhood, or was it about food? Was it about friendship, that sort of thing, by themes. This Ghost Magical Realism one I actually only just created after reading Her Fearful Symmetry, so I know there's books that I actually need to go back and add on to that. Whether it was fiction or whether it was non-fiction, whether it was a classic, whether it was literary fiction, a historical novel, you know, a memoir. So lots of different ways of tagging the books that I read. Oh, we have one here called Let's see, these are books that I really didn't like. Not too many on there. I've said previously, I think I'm quite good at sussing out whether I will like a book before I read it, but sometimes ones fall through the net. Maybe I should do a booktube video on books that I really hated. But then for balance, I do have a favourites shelf, although I'm a bit sporadic about what I put on here. Like sometimes I'll remember to add books to favourites, other times I'll forget, or I'll add ones and then look at it and go, really, was that a favourite? I'm thinking of The Testaments. I gave that 5 stars in hindsight. Not sure that was probably the best one, but yeah, I've got some great books on my favourite shelf. Diane Setterfield, absolutely love her writing. Kirsten Hanna, Under the Udala Tree was really good. Yeah, so a good snapshot of the books that I've enjoyed in there as well. So yeah, I think that's Goodreads, my total nerd heaven. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me. You're probably all bored fridges, but I don't know, I just hope this appeals to someone out there, because I know I really enjoy hearing about how other people track their reading, and maybe getting ideas from other people. I think tracking your reading is a way to make, I mean, reading is fun. We know this. If you're watching this, if you're a booktuber or you watch booktube, then I am preaching to the converted, but I just think tracking just makes it a little bit more enjoyable, and particularly with things like Goodreads, you can make it social as well. So with my reading challenges, I get involved in all the message boards as well. I really enjoy that aspect of my reading life, and yeah, just having a catalogue of the books that I've read and loved is just to me really special. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to join me for more bookish content, I put up a booktube video every Saturday, so please hit subscribe. If you've enjoyed the video, please give me a like and leave a comment so I know that you've been watching and I can say hi. Do you track your books any differently than I do? Or has this video given you any ideas of what you want to do in future? I would love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, give me a wee shout in the comments below. And until next week, when the 24-hour readathon will be kicking off, I will see you later.